guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the Creative Saints podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Victoria.
And we are stoked to be back and talking with you guys about all things creative, business,
marriage, entrepreneurship,
networking,
life,
all of the fun stuff.
Let's do it.
It's been a day. It's been a productive day.
Yes.
It's been a little off day.
Yeah, we had a lot of people tell us about a local coffee shop that we just absolutely had to try. People were raving about it. So we decided today was the day. And let me tell you,
it did not end up on the must come back list.
It ended up on the I don't think we'll be back here list. It blows my mind when people are like, this is such good coffee and the vibes and the people and the stuff. And oh my word, it just threw our day off so bad to like get out, take our kids with us.
It's a gloomy day. It's rainy.
We're going to do school from the coffee shop. We're going to work from the coffee shop. And then we got there and the coffee shop was terrible. And so anyways, that's
even
how our day started.
Was a bit awkward. The tables were slanted pieces of tree. Anyways. So we came home and we regrouped and we made our own coffee and we got a lot done.
We fixed it. We moved on, and that is what it's all about. Pivot. As Ross would say.
We have, speaking of pivot, done that a lot in our business. And
that was a nice segue.
I try very hard. That brings us to what we want to talk about today of our story and how we got started. This won't always be about talking about our experience and our story and whatever, but we think it's kind of important to put that out there in the beginning, why we are on here, why we're talking about this stuff.
What makes us qualified to talk about it?
Credibility. We've run up and down and we've learned lessons. We have restructured. We've done a lot of things, and we just want to share those lessons and life experience that maybe help y'all avoid some of the pitfalls of starting a business, and maybe some things that it's a cautionary tale of how to do it the right way.
I think that most of our story would be considered a cautionary tale. It's funny because I think a lot of people, you listen to their story, or like, I don't know, you listen to a podcast and you're hoping for like the path, like a copy paste method. And maybe we should just disclaimer this by saying, maybe
we are not a roadmap.
Do not copy and paste, okay? We're just going to warn you, the way that we have built our business and the way that we've gotten to where we are now, I honestly don't think that it is the best path forward, but I'm thankful for it.
I'm very thankful for it.
We wouldn't be who we are or where we are without
our
what
story.
Got us here. Yeah, our story. So I think, let's just dig in. I mean, we've been doing this for 6 years now, but
full-time, relying on this as our full-time income.
Yeah. But right before we started, we actually weren't planning on this. It wasn't like we were saving money to be entrepreneurs. We didn't have a plan B for our 9-to-5s. I think a lot of people it's like the dream is to work for yourself. And we were kind of chill with what we had going on.
I had a pretty dope job.
You had an amazing job. And at the time, our daughter was a year old. And so when you landed that job, it was at a software company.
It was fun. The culture was good. It was focused on health and all sorts of like awesome benefits in that aspect of being just a healthy balance, work-life balance, family balance. All those things were there. And there was a lot of hard work that went in and some nights of work, but it was a nice balance.
And it was, let's just say what it is. It was the most money that you'd ever made. And so when you landed that job, it was like, we've arrived. We moved to the complete other side of town. We moved into a great apartment. We just were living a life that like previously we didn't think was possible. And so
Something I
Yeah.
forgot was after 2 years of working with them, they double your salary.
Yeah, that was a big perk for you getting this job.
Spoiler alert, I
Yeah.
didn't work there 2 years.
Yeah, it just felt like it was the thing. That
Yeah.
was going to be the great stepping stone in life for us.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And then about 6 months in, you landed yourself in the hospital.
I don't know if I landed. I did not really choose that path. I
Yeah.
was borderline terminally ill.
I mean, yeah, that's safe to say. In and out of the hospital for about 3 months. And during that time, you were actually like working
Yeah.
from the hospital. You tried so hard to not jeopardize this job.
I was going to do whatever it took to keep
Yeah.
this job, including being very medicated on drugs from the hospital to curb the pain and fix the problem. And I was working at 2 a.m. recording training platform
From a hospital bed.
From a hospital bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't think that we really knew at that time how things were going to go. But
I don't think we were going to let go of that job.
No. But now that you're replaying exactly what happened, I think that it's completely fair that they fired you. I think you might have been a liability at that point if you were working from a hospital
Should try
bed.
and find those recordings and see how bad they are.
Oh my gosh. And we're making light of it, obviously, but it was
pretty dark.
It was a pretty dark season. And so they let you go, and they were amazing. They helped provide for us during that season, but obviously it's a corporate job. It's they have work to do. They need a worker bee, and you couldn't be that for them.
They needed to move forward, and they needed to continue making progress and building. And I was trying to do this job, but also I just wanted to stay alive and be a husband and a dad.
Yeah. I think
not to be morbid or gruesome, but
rightfully so. Our priorities were in a different place. And so when you lost your job, we had, like I said, we had no backup plan. There was nothing.
They gave us a very nice severance, and they kept insurance and helped us to get through that season.
Mm-hmm.
So I was let go, but they did take care of us. So
absolutely,
they didn't drop us, but they completely understand. They had to move forward with their business. They couldn't pause because we had to pause. I had to pause.
Absolutely. So then we kind of found ourselves in this place of, okay, now what? Unfortunately, because of what had happened, you weren't in a place where you could just be out and hustling and trying to get a job.
Yeah.
So a lot of applications, trying to find remote work, trying to do all the things.
467 applications,
My
62
goodness.
interviews, and no job.
No job. And we had, a 1-year-old at the time. And so my plan with us having kids was just to stay home. I wanted to be home with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And that was not an option anymore.
Yeah. Well, we had made that move, and our expenses almost tripled.
Yeah.
Because we were able to afford that. Cautionary tale: don't move for a job. Don't live outside of your means.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much wisdom there was in all the choices we made at that time, but you can't change the past.
No regrets.
But I just remember kind of that season of like, I'm the one that's going to have to go back to work. And I was not happy about it. And
not a happy camper.
I called my friend one day and I was like, I can't believe that this is happening. And I just want to be home with my baby. And she just kind of set me straight. I think that I was expecting her to like have a pity party with me. And she just really was like, you have to provide for your family right now, Victoria. Like, what else do you think is going to happen? It's your turn. Step up, do the thing. And so luckily I'd had a really good bank job previously, and they let me come back. And so I started working at the bank, and yeah, it was good. It wasn't what you were making, but it was income, and it was providing. And
we were no longer drowning, but we were emotionally spiritually, mentally drained. It
Oh,
took a
yeah.
toll.
We had nothing for anyone. We had nothing for each other.
Yeah.
We were kind of shells at that time and we can get into like more of like details maybe of what really happened and all of that later. But yeah, there was a lot of spiritual warfare at the time. And so we just had to figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
So I went back to work and you were home with our oldest.
Yep.
And it was funny. We had a really great community at the time of friends and family and church family. And we really did have a lot of people that we were leaning on at that time. And after a certain amount of time of like walking through a dark season, of course, you don't want to keep telling people the same story over and over again. Like,
You don't want to be a leech. You don't want to be a
no,
leper that's just lingering around.
at some point you want the story to get better. And so I think we kind of started like keeping to ourselves a little bit at that point, and like
Yeah.
maybe we don't have to tell everyone everything.
Yeah.
Um
Our life
and
had been very public.
yeah, our struggle, what we'd gone through had been very public, and so we kind of reclused a little bit then, and we had a really like a few really close friends. And then some of those friends, they were going out of the country that next spring, and they needed someone to house sit for them. And
Not just house sit. There's a little more house sit.
urban homestead sit. Chickens and dogs and cats and
Pretty incredible for
gardens.
you.
Yeah, it was my dream, of course, to have a little mini homestead. And so we jumped at the chance to house sit for them, which looking back now, 1000% they did that as a kindness for us.
Yeah.
Like they probably knew that we needed income wherever we could get it. And so we basically moved our family into their house for a month while they were out of the country. And we just took care of the garden and the house, and we got eggs every day, and it was great. But I was still going to work every day.
It was probably good that we moved into a different space outside of our own. It helped us to not just recluse and sit in a negative, frustrated space.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we trusted them like family. And so being in their home felt comfortable and safe. Yeah, it was a really, really sweet time. And just, you know, we'd been in an apartment. And so having a yard for our daughter to run through. And I mean, it was just a month, but it was like, it really was the perfect timing and such a great place for us to just breathe for a second. But yeah, I was still going to work every day, and you were home with our daughter, still applying for jobs and still doing all the things. And I would definitely say now that I'd had some resentment at that time
For sure.
with you. Not that any of this was your doing necessarily, but just that like this is not the life that we planned.
And I'm your husband. I'm supposed to take care of my family, and that wasn't what we agreed upon, and we got into. That wasn't the plan. And there was anger, frustration towards the situation, towards God. There was a lot to work through. And
yeah, it's funny because I remember you starting to kind of talk about what it could look like for us to start our own business, or just for you to like start doing stuff on the side here and there. And I was not interested at all.
That might be an understatement.
Yeah, I was less than not interested. I just felt like getting into something like that was going to require so much effort that I didn't have. I didn't know if you had. And like, how much capital was it going to require? And how much money do we need to start our own thing? And
how long before this actually results in money coming in?
How much are we going to invest ourselves and our time and our finance and all this stuff into something
away from applying for jobs?
Yeah, that may or may not work or may not be the right thing. So I was just completely out on that. I had no interest. But you saw it.
I didn't see it. I was mad at God. I didn't trust God. I didn't trust myself. I didn't have any confidence. And I was trying to pull myself up by my bootstraps and get to a point where I was like, okay, I can do this. I've always been a pretty confident person, but I was not confident in that season that I would ever be able to take care of my family again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it started to change, and I saw the road, but I still didn't. I like kind of saw the light down the road, but I had zero idea of how to get there, how to start, how to anything.
Yeah. And as you were kind of processing through, I guess, like what you were starting to feel like we were supposed to do, um, I just remember coming home from work and you were ecstatic one day. You
No,
were,
I waited for you to come home from work. I opened the door. I had the laptop ready. This was game changer.
yeah, I hadn't seen you that excited about something in a long time. But again, for me, I was not in a season where I could really hear happy. I couldn't really hear excited. I just wasn't there. And so when I came home that day, you basically said,
I have the name. I have the logo. I have the colors. I have the path. Let's do it.
here's how we start a website. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how
The research was done.
Yeah, you had everything. Like that day, God had just downloaded everything to you on what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And how this was going to work. And I said, not a chance.
I think no, I'm just kidding.
I was just so out on all of that. And
Understandably so.
yeah, I just wasn't there. We weren't on the same page at all. And I just remember saying, I'm really glad that you and God have this all figured out. I am not there, and I'll let you know when I hear from God. But basically, in the meantime, like, find a job. Because I just
Come back
couldn't
to
see it.
reality.
Yeah.
Figure this out.
Love that you're dreaming, but I need you here with me right now. Yeah.
You can do that when we have a firm foundation and a savings account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do this someday.
Yeah.
Now's not the time.
Don't think about this right now.
Yeah. And that was pretty much the last we talked about it for about a month.
That might be the last we talked that month.
That's not true.
It was a source of contention.
It was. And I just kind of ignored it. I was not interested in going down that path with you. And I kept working. And then I did start to feel something happening in my heart that was like, okay, maybe there's something to this. And I was getting more and more miserable not being with our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I just was crying, leaving for work. I was so upset during the day while I was gone. I don't know. It just was not for me. I was not interested in being away from our kids. It was breaking my heart.
That season, after a season of taking care of me in the hospital and being away from our daughter.
Yeah. And so there was more to it maybe than just I'm at work, but like literally my daughter and my husband, they need me. Like I'm supposed to be home with them. And something has to change because I am just a shell of a person. It was tearing me apart.
Yeah.
And so I just was in the car on my way back to you guys one day after work. And I was just crying out to God, like not even weeping or anything like that, but just like, God, we've got to figure something out here.
Yeah.
This isn't working. I'm miserable. My family needs me.
Our family was kind of miserable.
Yeah, it just was not our plan. And I know I keep saying that, like people have to do things all the time that are not their plan.
Yeah.
But this just felt broken for us. Like
we were less than a year outside of, we had the dream. We had it all figured out, all put together. This is less than a year after that started.
Yeah. And yeah, it just didn't feel like the right thing for us. And so in that moment of just asking God, like, can you fix this?
Yeah.
Can you figure this out for me? Because this is not the thing. And I just heard him say, I need you to trust your husband. I need you to trust me in your husband. And like that realization that I hadn't been trusting you.
Yeah.
Which in turn meant I wasn't trusting God. I had to trust that you had a relationship with him, that you heard from him.
Yeah.
And that this was actually going to happen.
Yeah. And I had gone through my own wrestle with God of like, God, I'm ticked off at you and I can't do this on my own. And I feel like you're not there. I feel like you're not listening. And when I was able to vocalize that, it was really the start of understanding and seeing the path, seeing the future, seeing the direction we were supposed to go.
So that was it. I came home, I said, I'm quitting my job and let's go. We're all in.
And we jumped in and we jumped in so hard.
Yeah. And I think it's funny now. I wish that I had more clarity on what that season looked like, except that I just remember it being very like whoever, wherever, whatever the work is, whoever it is, whatever the business is. Yes, I'll make that logo. Yes, I'll do that album cover. Yes, I'll design that business card. And you need a website? Great. Here's a discounted price. Like,
I quote you $100 and you only have 90. Sure.
yeah. And do you need to pay that in installments? I don't care. It was just absolute hustle mode to get something, to get you some sort of portfolio.
Yeah.
Let's build the website, get everything up fast. Like everything just happened so fast after that. And we were all in. And
we were all in. We worked hard 24/7, looking for clients 24/7.
Yeah. If there was just a whisper of somebody that might potentially need any sort of design work, we were like, here's our number. We'll do it for whatever you can afford. I mean,
how much money do you have in your bank account that you can afford to pay? Some people said, yeah, I need work, but I can't pay you right now. I can pay you in 2 months. And we did it.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. And these are really, you should not do these things because it's not wise to jump in and work on projects that aren't bringing money in because you start to hate what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think we went through seasons of that. This isn't to say that, like, yes, at that time we were all in, but how many times in the last 6 years since that moment have we had to reevaluate and say, is this actually the thing that we're supposed to be doing? Because the thing about working for yourself is that it's not always steady income. I mean, maybe if we'd have built it different, maybe if we hadn't completely bootstrapped this ourselves, and maybe if we'd had a little bit more of a solid foundation going into it, that wouldn't be the case. But for us, there have been feast and famine seasons.
Yeah.
Like there have been very, very high highs and very, very low lows. We've made it through 2 election years.
Do not start a business in an election year.
Do not run a business in an election year. No,
prepare the year before.
Yes.
For a very, very difficult year.
Yeah. People have tight pockets when there's political pressure and stress. And we made it through our first global pandemic. And
first only.
Let's hope so. So yeah, there's been some things up against us. And oh my gosh, the stories of people that have come out on the other side of that are so encouraging because it was so hard.
Yeah.
And I love hearing other people's stories of how you had to
pivot.
Creative.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you had to do. You had to get creative.
Everybody in every industry had to get creative to bypass that. A lot of our clients before that we had built up were live spaces, event
venues,
spaces, food spaces, coffee spaces, where there was a lot of traffic and people gathered in groups. And that was like, bye-bye in the blink of an eye. And that means that every contract we had was
basically gone. Yeah. I remember even doing I don't even remember who the client was. You literally had to make COVID safe graphics for someone. I mean, it was literally whatever work we could find. Once again, there we found ourselves doing whatever it took.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of when things shifted and when it no longer felt like survival mode, because it did. For the first little bit, it really did feel like survival mode. And I think it was after COVID. I think
it was the fall after COVID.
Yeah.
Or the fall of 2020 when I realized that there was no way to put all your eggs in one industry. There was no way that being so niche down and working with a specific type of client was the right way. It needed to be built differently. It needed to be structured differently. And we had retainers going into 2020.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. It was great. But when the whole world crumbles, when the economy crumbles, it's really hard to pick up those pieces. And so we went hard. We started, but we have rebranded, refreshed, and realigned the direction and processes, our strategy of how we go about things, what, 4 times?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, do not use our method. We probably rebranded because we weren't always 100% sure what we were doing.
Right.
I mean, this was a lot of guessing on our part. It's
Yeah.
not like we came from a family of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of people that we could go to for advice and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or is this a wise decision? I mean, over time, you found some people and some
Right.
mentors, but we really were just figuring this out on our own. And so
Exactly.
if we were like panic mode of how are we going to find work, it was like, well, maybe it's our website. Well, maybe it's our name. Well, maybe
it's the colors.
maybe it's the colors. It wasn't, guys. It was not the colors. Okay.
It was the fact that we started a business out of necessity and not with any strategy.
Yeah.
You should work a job and slowly build a business or have some type of income that's stable and slowly build a business. And when you can replace your stability with that, jump ship and go all in. We did it a very, very, well, we didn't have a choice.
We didn't
That's
have a
what
choice.
we had to do.
And we did it. And I can look back now and be so proud of where we are and what we've built. It doesn't look anything like what I thought it would.
No.
And I love it so much more because of that. We have even gone through seasons where I'm not as involved in the business. And sometimes that comes and goes even with specific clients where we need the 4 hands instead of just yours, or maybe we are doing graphic work and some sort of admin or website design that I can be involved in. But that changes too with, whether it be each client or just seasons. I mean, we had another baby and I was not really doing anything during that time. Of like late into the pregnancy and then newborn stage, like,
but being an awesome mom,
I was just making a lot of sourdough and feeding the baby. So there have been still, again, 6 years in, just so many ebbs and flows to how we've done it, how we've structured it, and I am very happy to say that right now it feels stable. I'm not afraid. About where our next paycheck's going to come from or if we're going to be able to pay our bills.
Yeah.
And that feels really nice.
But we're not on a singular line anymore. We're multifaceted and doing things in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like insanity. The planning, the scheduling comes into great effect with that we have to be uber organized and able to get it all done.
Yeah, way more structured than we've ever been before.
Yeah. But it's everything we've learned. I am so incredibly proud of us and the journey we've gone on. I'm proud of the business that we run. I'm proud to talk to people and talk about our business, to recommend our business, our website. I'm proud of that. But what we are building for the future, I'm more excited about that than anything we've ever done.
Yeah. And I think what I love about the idea of now working so hard to build a creative community and kind of set something up selfishly for us. I mean, we said last time we've moved our life to another state and we have missed a lot of our network. So part of that is, to build our network and have other creatives we can bounce ideas off and stuff. But also, I am so aware that people should not listen to this and think I'm going to get great tips and tricks on how to run a business. But I am excited for people to listen to this and say, hey, I want to be a part of something.
Yeah.
Because we're not stopping. We're not going anywhere. We are in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I want to see other people succeed and maybe not go through a lot of the pitfalls that we did. But also I want to bring people along that are smarter than us and
That's
get people
crucial.
involved that can look at our story and say, let me tell you all the places you should have done this differently, and encourage other people to have a better foundation, a more sure foundation, faster than we did, be able to build faster than we did. So yeah, just kind of finding those people that like, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I'm excited to do that now and kind of, from scratch.
To gather creatives who are smarter than we are, who have more experience in areas that we do and other areas, and to be able to come together and build a collective community that can help people. Like you said a little bit ago, there were times where we didn't have anybody to talk to about where we were, and to look at what we were doing, to look at our bank account and our invoicing and say, you guys are absolutely stupid and need to change this.
Yeah.
And not that saying you're stupid is a good thing, but to be there, that someone can just bounce, hey, I am stuck in a rut. I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall. Is there anybody I can talk to? That's what we're trying to build.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons I'm like, we've been blasting this podcast now all over social media and sharing it with all of our friends, because we're
friends.
I'm not sorry. This is exciting.
I'm not sorry. I'm excited. Everybody's excited.
They can love it or hate it. I don't
people
care.
Across the globe that are amazing creatives in different industries want to be a guest and to provide their insight to this to share.
That's kind of what I wanted to say, was that this is only episode 2. It's you and me. We're doing this. We're talking. I love that we get to sit and have these conversations, and now 6 years later, be really honest about some of the things that we've gone through. But I'm very excited for some of the people that we've talked to that want to come on and be a guest. So you're not just going to hear from us all the time. There are going to be some cool people on here that do have really exciting stories, a lot of wisdom, and we're excited to just keep growing this thing.
This is probably the last time we'll talk about our story as the main point.
Yeah, we're going to get boring at some point. So we'll get some fresh content for the next one. And then some fresh faces, hopefully, and voices. I know we're not doing video yet. Get some fresh voices on here and just keep talking about all things creative. But we really want to hear from you guys, what you want to talk about, what you want us to talk about. We are going to unashamedly ask you to like, share, follow, and comment on Spotify. We do have a poll up right now for our next podcast. So just go and vote on what you want to hear about.
Send us a DM, join the collective through the landing page. Let us know through email or DM what you want to hear about, what you want to do, if you want to be a guest. We'd love to build this with you. We want this to be an asset to everybody and not just listening to what we think we should talk about.
Yeah. And by the time that this is live, our first meetup will be the next Tuesday. So 5 days from today when you're listening. We just want to see you there. If you're in Oakland County, March 11th, Desert Oasis, Rochester Hills, Michigan, 6:30 p.m. So if you can come out and meet us, and we're just going to hang out. We're going to drink some coffee. We're going to get to know each other and begin to build that tangible network of people that we can bounce ideas off, not just online, but in person also.
This is a really casual, just chill, actually talk with people. Yeah,
actually meet face to face and get to know each other's stories outside of the internet. So Come on, come hang out. And we will be back next week with another conversation about something creative.
Yeah.
And we hope that you will join us.
For the journey.
Join us on the journey. That can't be our tagline.
Join us on the journey. No, that's really cheesy.
All right. Comment what you think our tagline should be.
We're going to put a poll up.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Sounds good. See you guys later. Week. Bye.